Hey everybody, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Vitality once again. So we are just about at the end of Wave 5 for the interviews. There is one more after this one, but there is more to go after that once we start booking the next wave anyway. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into this one. All right, bye. All right, so I'm currently on the phone with Jeffrey Hayes, is another musician that reached out about the interview series. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the opportunity to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I am Jeffrey Hayes. I'm with the band Soul Trap, which I helped co-found with my buddy Tyler back in like 2014, 2015. And yeah, I've been playing guitar for about 17 years.
Excellent. So about those 17 years, I always like to start, in the beginning. When were you first drawn to music, and what about music in general? Did you find something that was important enough to latch on to?
Well, I kind of felt like a late bloomer when it came to getting into music at all. I was mostly into movies and stuff. I really had that like kid dream, like, oh, I want to be a director. I want to make films, stuff like that. And anyways, I was watching the '04 remake of Dawn of the Dead, the old George A. Romero movie, but the remake one. And at the end of it, Down with the Sickness came on, and I like had not heard that song before, and something about it was just kind of like, oh, okay, I could get into this. Started, bobbing my head to everything, and from there, I just really started getting into Disturbed and found a bunch of other bands that were in that realm, and I was just like, basically, I'm the kind of thing when I'm into something, I don't want to just watch it. I want to do it. So I was like, okay, I'm into music. All right, well, hey, mom, can I, you know, help me out getting a guitar? I'm 13. I don't have any money. And then she
Mm-hmm.
got me my first guitar,
Nice. And
and from
so,
there, just kind of. Oh, sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. How did you find that process of actually learning it? As you mentioned, it's something that you're into, and you don't just want to be into it; you want to be a part of it as well. What were those first steps like once you had the guitar?
Well, my mom's boyfriend at the time, Josh, he was really into metal, and he was a bass player too. Who'd been in and out of bands. I mean, he kind of helped me along in a lot of ways, like in mostly just encouragements and, shown me a few stuff like scales, just the concept of a scale. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, starting out. I would just go to ultimateguitar.com and just download and print tabs, and just learn whatever I could until I eventually started just kind of figuring out like, oh, okay, so that's kind of how these scale things work, and started, fiddling around doing my own stuff. But it was many, many years before I actually wrote something that I felt was good enough to even show someone.
That's typically another question that I ask is how long was it before first picking up the instrument and then feeling comfortable writing with it?
Oh man, in my first band, let's see, I was about 17, 18 around there. We were called Black Armada up in Anchorage, Alaska, and God, like I tried to write some songs for the group, but it always kind of turned out that the other guitar player had written better songs, and that's not saying no animosity there. He and I are still great friends to this day. But yeah, my songs just like were not like eh, they weren't really good enough. It's just kind of how it goes. But in Soul Trap, I pretty much helped write everything from the beginning. Although there are quite a few songs, like on our track, like "Collecting the Pieces" and "Seven" that were written completely by our the singer Aaron. He was our guitar player for a little bit, but yeah, so we all kind of write together now.
Okay. And you mentioned that you somewhat learned off tabulature. So, how do you go about like the writing process? Is it more kind of just putting progressions together, or are you kind of more like groove focused?
I guess I'd say like writing process. If I'm just sitting at home writing like alone, I'll just be jamming, noodling around. And if I find something that I like, I'll sort of like just kind of morph that into different things and see what I can find and just see what sort of comes out naturally. Like, and then go back and kind of like say, okay, this sounds like a good verse, or maybe this part needs to go over here instead, and just sort of flesh it out. It's like a like lots of edits, lots of drafts, to actually get like a song that's workable.
Sure, absolutely. So you mentioned that you're up in Alaska, and I know that you're in the East time zone now. So what happened there?
Oh, well, let's see. After my parents split, we went up to Alaska when I was like 13. My mom's side of the family was up from there, so I was there until about 23, and I just decided, you know what? I'm not really going to make it up here. There's not really much opportunity in ways of jobs and schools that I could afford. So my dad and brothers were down here. I bought myself a plane ticket, ships down, anything I could afford to bring with me, and put myself through technical school down here. Got an IT degree, but actually ultimately ended up in graphic design and now in sales, but still doing design for the company.
Okay, so it was a pretty easy transition, just kind of moving from one side to the other.
Yeah, no, not too bad at all. I mean, I'm definitely, if anyone who's listening to this and you're thinking about moving somewhere where you don't have any family or resources, and I don't recommend it, but be careful.
Absolutely. So once you did kind of make that move, was that when you started forming your band that you're in now, or were you kind of looking around for opportunities? What was your first steps getting back into the music scene that you're in now?
Oh, well, first steps really were just going on Facebook and Craigslist and seeing who was looking to start something or who was looking for a guitar player, which that's pretty rare. We guitar players are a dime a dozen. But I ended up finding Tyler through Craigslist, and he was a drummer. So we went over to his house and jammed a little bit in that hot ass garage, no AC, and that eventually turned into where we are now.
That's cool. And you mentioned that that was about 7 years ago. So you guys have been practicing and writing. In that period of time, how many records have you guys put out?
Let's see. Right now, we do just have a single full album out. It's got 12 tracks on it, all original. And right now, we're working on writing a lot more. But really, the things that's kind of like been holding us up has been constantly retraining new members, like, losing the bass player here or there, or getting a new guitar player. Gone through quite a few guitar players. But I really feel like the dust is finally settling, now to where we can start really writing some new original material again. I mean, we've all got little projects and stuff. We just haven't, as a band, been able to put really much out. Through the pandemic, our guitarist that we just let go of wouldn't even want to leave his house, and he didn't work very well with the group. But that's another story.
Sure, yeah. It's definitely difficult to keep bandmates together. And in a lot of ways, I think that's one of the most complicated parts of being in a band is just keeping people together.
Oh yeah, I used to think it was all about like, okay, who can we find that's got the right skill, who's got a car to make sure they can get their gear there, and who's just basically like finding someone who's skilled and our age and things like that. And later on, I kind of realized that it doesn't really matter as much as whoever it is having a good attitude and like really being on the same page as the rest of us as far as, hey, even though the band can be tough sometimes and maybe might cost you more money than you'll ever actually make, like if you're in it, you're in it, serious about it, and then that's the kind of person that we look for.
Yeah, and that's definitely an important point of making sure that the people that you're working with are people that you can actually get along with and not necessarily your idealized version, as you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. It's much more about like, hey, does everyone gel together, and do we all have good personalities, and are we serious about the project?
Awesome. So, along those notes, have you been able to get like a good lineup together? So now you have people together that you're ready to work with and eventually get out and do shows with?
Oh yeah, we just added a few months ago. Greg, our other guitar player, he is a talented ass guy, like in his 40s, and like I'm really happy to be with him. He's freaking just great in the band, great attitude, silly guy. We've been friends for a long time before he joined, so I mean, it just kind of worked out.
You mentioned the current band you're in. I'm going to give you the chance to go over that again. Just give some more information about it, and then also, where would you like to see it go to? Once everything starts opening up, we can get out and do shows again. What are your ambitions for your project?
Oh yeah, the band is called Soul Trap, one word. And honestly, ambitions for it. So right now, we're already doing shows. We've got one booked coming up September 20th, opening up for Sons of Texas, along with Kings Peak and Mudbrain. And that's going to be our first show with our new drummer, Marion, who's just a beast. But as far as where we want to go, like, I try to keep my expectations realistic. Like, it's better, I think, that we try to do all that we can to, be one of like, those well-known metal musicians from a certain area, like better to be like, the best local band in Georgia that we can possibly be, because if we are just only banking on becoming signed and famous one day, well, that's not very realistic. That's going to lead to a lot of disappointments. I'd rather have a goal that's, achievable, but still a challenge.
Sure.
But I mean, who doesn't want to get signed? Obviously we would love it. We would do it. But, yeah, hey, we're just doing it right now because we love doing it.
Right. And that's probably the most important part to focus on is making sure that the passion is there.
Exactly. And I mean, we've been dealing with a lot of bullshit in this band, I feel like, excuse my French, but it still feels worth it.
Good, good. So what are your some of favorite memories that you've had participating in music, whether it be like an inspirational show you went to, or trouble with the bandmate, or a show you played?
Oh man, let's see. As far as just memories in general when it comes to music, like I'll never forget my first concert. My mom brought me to see Avenged Sevenfold when they played in Anchorage, I think in 2005, and they were my favorite band at the time. I've since moved on to definitely some heavier stuff, but they kind of still hold a special place in my heart. Let's see, another time. Oh my god, well. So with Soul Trap, we were getting ready. We were loading in some gear, and I was cutting some string, getting the banner ready. And one thing led to another. Tyler accidentally got stabbed through the hand with this knife that we had. It's like one of those little construction knives, like a box cutter type thing. And man, this thing. So, and we're about to go up on stage. But dude, he even had a sprained foot at the time too. So this dude goes up and plays the show, gets through the whole thing with a hole in his hand and a broken foot. And he's doing, double bass, mind you, with the feet. So he's got to use both of those feet, both those hands. And to this day, that's kind of one of the reasons he's earned that nickname, the Beast, because he just powered right through it like a freaking animal.
For sure. Yeah, that's fucking some shit to go through.
Yeah, we were amazed.
So what are some links where people can take a listen to your stuff and check you out on social media?
Well, we do our distribution online, so it gets sent pretty much everywhere. It gets we're on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Google Play. You can also find us at soultrapmetal.com. All our music is on there, along with all of our merch. You can buy our music right there without the industry people skimming anything off the top. If you want to support us a little more directly.
So I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to throw out their last word. So just a message that you kind of feel resonates with you.
Well, just no matter what you're doing, as long as you enjoy it, never give up.